Good evening. How's everybody?
We're good.
Yeah. I don't shoot just for hook.
I didn't see you. That's why. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. Wonderful. Tim, you good?
Yes, I'm good.
But you wasn't in here when I came in here. Bruce, you straight?
I'm good, God want me to be.
Oh, okay. Amen. All right. So tonight we are going to, it probably won't take us a whole hour. That'll be all right with me. It's cold outside. All right. But tonight we're going to do, have some conversation centered around financial literacy. So we're going to talk a little bit about it and try to get some more understanding about some things in some areas and try to help individuals out. I think this came at a perfect moment in time because we just started our fast on yesterday. So I think this will be something that will be helpful and healthy for us even as we are in the midst of our fast. When it comes to financial literacy, most of us, me and I'll just raise my hand, wasn't taught that when I was younger. Anybody with me? Wasn't taught financial literacy when I was younger. Mom and daddy worked hard. They had property. My mom and them had all kinds of rental houses and things of that nature, and they was getting money coming through the door, but I didn't know what they was doing with the money. I don't know how they managed their bills. I didn't know how credit worked. I didn't know any of those things most of the time because back then my mom was 86, so most of the money was in the house. It wasn't in the bank. It was in the house somewhere. She probably got money stashed where she is now. We just got to go through stuff when she closed her eyes and might come across all kinds of money. But they didn't teach us those things. Some of it could be because they didn't know themselves, but some of it just because they just didn't know how to communicate that information to us. So for me, I had to learn stuff through trial and error. And in my trial and error, I was more error than it was trial. I had more mess ups than anything. I wish somebody had told me, don't get student loans. That's you're going to be in it for the rest of your life till you die. Don't get student loans. But then nobody tell me that. Go to school, get you a student loan. Then you can pay it back later. Okay. Yeah. See how that works out. All right. So financial literacy is not something that we were taught in our families. And you really don't hear a lot about it in church either. Only time you hear about money usually is when? Tithes and offerings. That's the only time you hear about it. And later in this presentation, we'll talk about tithes and offerings. But that's the only time you hear about it. But when you have people that don't have the extra left, they like, you asking me for something I don't have. Right. So if we begin to educate people on their finances, then we'll be able to see that we can actually begin to do more ministry because we're educating people, and then the church will then prosper in the process. So we are going to talk about several things through this. So in this session, we're going to talk about what does the scripture say about finances, because the Bible does talk about money. Okay, it does. What is credit and how it can work for you, what makes up your credit profile, how to position yourself with the best interest rates available for future purchases, what you can do if you have troubled credit or if you're just not where you want to be, how to budget, and how to begin saving. Those are going to be the things that we're going to talk about. So, what is money? Somebody tell me what money is.
Tool.
It's a tool, okay? Anybody else? When you hear money, what is money? Currency, okay. Tool, currency. Anybody else?
It's a necessary, it's a need.
It's a need. It's necessary. It is necessary. All right, anybody else?
It can be a blessing or a curse, depending on how you choose to use it and what you do with it.
A blessing or a curse, depending on you.
Yes.
It's depending on how you use it. So we said a tool, currency is necessary, and it can be a blessing or a curse. One thing about finances, and when we're talking about money, we have to understand what money is before we can really have a real relationship with it. A lot of times we have to change our relationship with money in order to be able to do what we need to do with it. Money ultimately is from God, because why? God owns everything, right? Everything belongs to him. And when he provides us with the money so that we can do what we have to do to live, but it's also in regards to the ministry as well, to be able to do what we need to do for the kingdom. All right, so we're going to look at a few scriptures, and you're going to have to go to your Bibles, because I didn't put it up there. Somebody go to Luke 6 and 8 for me. Somebody go to 3 John 1 and 2. That's in the New Testament, just in case y'all didn't know. 1 Timothy 6 and 10. Deuteronomy 8 and 18. And then Proverbs 30, 24, and 25. Somebody take one of them, each of those. Whoever get Luke 6 and 38, please stand and read it for me. Thank you, ma'am.
Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measures pressed down and shaken together and running over shall men give into your bosom.
Thank you. So it says give and it'll be given to you.
Oh, for with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again.
So whatever you give is going to be given right back to you. Whatever it is. And then it says that it will be given to you pressed down, shaken together, and then rolling over. So I don't know who it was. Somebody was talking about when they would pick cotton. I think it was somebody talking about picking cotton, and they would go and they would step in the cotton and make it go down deep, pack it down off in there. And so when we begin to give, and when we're giving in that way, God says he will give it back to us. And he's going to give us back more than what we give him. He's going to give it back to us more than what he gives to us. And he said, and it will be running over. So as much as you give, the more you get back. You can't be stingy and think you're going to get it back. You can't be a hoarder. I was watching Buried Alive today. Have y'all ever watched those shows? It's gross. They are gross, but you think about it, you'd be like, why do they have so much stuff? They don't get rid of anything, but they just constantly have and have and have and have. But they're constantly grabbing stuff. But you know what? God can't give you more if you already got it. Mm-hmm. And if you too stingy to give it to somebody else, like, why you holding on to it? Give it to them. God's going to give it back. Last week, true story, last week when I was getting ready, I had already took my tithes out, set my tithes aside, and then I got a message from somebody that had borrowed money from me 6 months ago and said, Auntie, I just sent you your money back, and it was exactly what my tithes was that I had just set aside.
Wow. Amen. Exactly
to the penny of what I had just set aside. So God will give it to you. All you got to do is give it to him. You got to do it. All right, who has 3 John 1 and 2? Thank you, sir.
Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prosper.
So God wants us to prosper. And then we ain't those prosperity type preachers and stuff in here, but God wants us to prosper. Because when you prosper, then other people will prosper because you're able now to give to other people. And so when you're prosperous, then the ministry flourish because you are prosperous and you're giving. So God wants us to be prosperous. He don't want us to be broke. But so many times we have that poverty mentality that we think that we just have to struggle in order to think that things is real. The struggle is real. Y'all heard that a lot of times, haven't y'all? The struggle is real. Well, the struggle is real, but you don't have to. You don't have to struggle. The Bible tells us that God wants us to prosper. That's scripture. That ain't just somebody saying that God wants us to prosper. He says that he wants us to prosper in our health as well as in what we get financially. All right? 1 Timothy 6 and 10. Who got it for me? I seen a couple rocks, but I was like, okay. 1 Timothy 6 and 10. Thank you.
For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some covered after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
Thank you. It says, for the love of money is the root of evil. Not having money, that's not what it says.
Right.
It's the love of it. That means that you gonna do whatever you gotta do. You gonna step on whoever you gotta step on. You gonna take all kinds of drastic measures to get money. That's the love of money. It does not say that you having money is evil. It didn't even say that money was evil. It says the love of it is what's evil, and it said it was the root of it. So therefore, you loving the money is what causes the evil. It ain't the money. And so many times, you didn't heard people say that, haven't y'all? Mm-hmm. You didn't heard them. So, but it's the love of money. So if you got money, if you got $1 million in the bank, praise God for your $1 million in the bank. That don't mean you evil, and it don't mean your money evil. If you got $5 in the bank, it's the same thing. It don't mean that you evil, nor is your $5 evil. It's the love of the money that makes it evil. You can have money and still be saved and make it into the kingdom. Okay? All right. Amen. Deuteronomy 8:18. Who got it? Thank you.
But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that has given thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant with which he sware unto thy father, as it is this day.
So it says that God is the one that gives us wealth. Wealth is not just to make it by. Wealth is having excess and having more of. God is the one that gives us wealth. When you think about the Old Testament scriptures, usually those are the ones that have all the stories in it. And the fathers was always giving their children were always going to be heirs of whatever they had left. That means that what they had was generational wealth. That means that they had money that they was passing down to their children, to their children's children. The money is what they call, that was some long money. That money stretched, and it stretched through generations. God is the one, he okay with you being wealthy. My check just ain't cleared the bank. It don't mean I don't have it. They just ain't clear. They got a 5-day hold on it, okay?
Right. That's awesome.
They got a 5-day hold on it. They're just making sure that the other bank got the money in there. They got a 5-day hold on it. But it does not mean that you can't have. God will give you wealth.
Yeah.
But you have to be. Somebody go to Proverbs 30 and 24 and 25. You have to be good stewards of what God gives you in order for you to get the wealth. Go ahead.
There are 4 things which are little on the earth, but they are exceedingly wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their food in the summer.
Thank you. Was that it?
425?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the ants, the birds, the squirrels, the elephants, the bears, all of them, what they do when it's time for them to get ready to close off the season in the wintertime, they start gathering all their little stuff, taking it to their little nests and their little ant hills, and they get all that they need to be able to survive. That's called savings. They get what they need in order to survive. So if they got sense enough to do it, okay, never mind.
Right.
If they got sense enough to do it, what is wrong with us?
Yeah.
Okay, that's at the end. Put a pin there. Somebody talk about savings later. Just put a pin there. But the Bible says that that's what they do. And if they do it, then there's nothing wrong with us doing it. Okay? There's nothing wrong with it, I promise. All right, so I'm not going to read all of these to you guys, but in regards to the personal finances, there's like 43 million people that have a credit score that is 599 or less. That's a lot of people. The average debt is over $225,000. You should know how much debt you have. If you do not know that, then you need to get to know what that is. If you haven't pulled a credit report, if you don't have some of those little apps, like Credit Karma is not the best, but it kind of gives you a ballpark figure, you need to know how much you owe people. Because you got to pay folks back. You just got to pay them back. So you need to know. $225,000 is what most people have, and then they have less than $500 in their savings. You got that much debt, but you don't have $500 to handle an emergency if one happens. Because life happens and emergencies do too, right?
Go ahead, yeah.
They do. 49% have no retirement, and only 18% know that they that they are on track in order to be able to retire when it's time. Almost half the people don't even have retirement. I don't want to work forever.
Amen.
I'm sorry, I don't. I don't want to be 65. I don't. I don't want to be that old. I don't want to and be
We
no.
still workers.
I
That's
don't
where
want
I'm
to
at.
work that hard.
Exactly.
I want to be able to just sit on the porch if I want to, get my bag and leave if I want to. That's what I want. I don't want to be working until I can't do it no more.
Praise God.
And then I'm broke down trying to live out the rest of my days. No, that ain't what I want to do. So if you haven't started, now you will probably have to be aggressive in your savings, but it can be done. It can be done. You might have to be aggressive, but you can do it. Yes, sir.
And you have to be careful on some of these jobs. Before I left the city, I think Sister Smith probably remember this. They had the entry people was coming in. They had to where it was an option
Mm-hmm.
to pull out for Social Security or to get all your money. And I was telling them, for me, you better let them take that money out.
Absolutely.
I said, because you working all your life because you like that money. When you get a certain age, you ain't got nothing to pay in.
And then when it comes to Social Security, maybe even by the time I retire, it ain't gonna even be
It
nothing.
might not be.
Right.
So you can't expect Uncle Sam to do his part because he probably won't. It probably won't be none there when it's time for me to retire. So you have to be prepared to do it. You have to be prepared some kind of way. Prepare yourself. 65% have no will. We should have wheels. I know most of the time we as African American people don't have wheels. Why don't you? And then your family is fighting over that little bitty stuff y'all got. Fighting over grandma's house. Why? Because grandma didn't have a will. Stuff goes in the trust. Probate, because there's nothing, we don't know who to give it to. It ain't nothing, there's no power of attorney, there's no trust fund set up, there's nothing. And we have to get out of that. We got to learn how to plan. Because one thing is for certain, we going to leave here. And when you leave here, what kind of trouble you leaving the rest of your family?
Yeah.
Because they dead, and then they fighting over again that little bit of stuff you got.
Right.
That little bit of stuff that you hold on to, that you got. Every 2 seconds, a person's identity has been stolen. Anybody's identity been stolen in here before? That's good. Anybody's credit card or debit card been stolen before?
Yep.
Mine's. But I'm glad my bank was like, girl, you don't shop there. Is this you? No. It ain't me. All right. So we talked about that already. All right. So your FICO score. This is what they measure you by. These 3 numbers is what they measure us by. Not your character. They don't care if you're a good person. They don't care if you're nice and say please and thank you. They measure you based off of your FICO score. Your insurance rates are based off of your credit score.
Didn't know that.
Yes.
Yep. It's part of it.
It is part of it. They go by where you live and then they look at your credit score.
Didn't know that.
Yes.
How do you go about knowing how to do this?
So your FICO score will be on your credit report.
So you go to your
You can
credit.
go pull your credit report and you can see you can see all the debt that's there that they're reporting that's good and bad. And then it will also have what your overall FICO score is. Fair credit is 669 typically is what it is. You know, good of course is anything you want to get up to your 700s. That's where you want to be to have good credit. Some people have credit as low as 400s. Those are those people that just get stuff and don't pay nobody back. Now, one thing is for certain, when you get into a situation where you're not in the fair, you might be fair or you might be poor. It didn't take you overnight to get there. And it's not going to get overnight to get out. Companies report every 30 days. Every 30 days is when they report. If you have a credit card, okay, that's in the other part too. Hold on. We'll talk about that credit card later. All right. That's coming up too. All right, so in looking at the states, so the state of Missouri, what is our average score? Our average credit score is 685 in the state of Missouri. This was as of 2020. So it could have gone up or it could have gone down. But the average in Missouri is 685. That's the average credit score that someone in Missouri will have. You have to have at least a 600 to even get a place to stay now, because they run your credit on trying to get you into a place to stay. That's even in rundown apartment buildings. They still run your credit. All right? All right, so how your credit is calculated. This is how it's calculated. This is important. Now, as I mentioned before, I wasn't taught. So this information I just recently got. And I was like, why didn't nobody tell me this a long time ago? So this is how your credit score is broke up. 30% of your credit score is broke up into payment history. That means your car payment. Anybody that's reporting any type of payments that you make, so your car payment, your house note, all of those is considered as your payment history. So that's 30% of your credit. And so that means that you're paying your payments on time. That's how it's calculated. So if you fell behind in your car note, get it caught up. And then when you start paying it on regular, on time, because again, they don't report, it's not late until after 30 days. As long as you pay it before that 30 days is up, then you can see that your credit score will begin to increase because you're paying on-time payments. But 30% of it is on your payment history. So when you feel like, oh, well, it's all right, I just missed this one, it's late. This one is late. Yes, sir.
Well, what about like electric bills and AT bills and stuff like that?
They don't report to your credit in regards to like on-time payments. They don't report to your credit. Now, if you fail to pay them and then it goes to collections, they will. But outside of that, they don't.
So if you late on one of them, they don't.
It doesn't affect your credit.
Bills,
No.
stuff like that.
Your utilities does not.
Because, as far as the history, is it a time frame, how far they go back?
Most people go back 7 years, and that's what you see usually on your credit report is 7 years. Some states is not 7. Some states is 5. It just depends. Yeah, it just depends. All right, and I'm sorry, that's 35%. Your capacity and amount owed is 30%. So the percentage of your credit cards. So if you have credit cards, all the credit cards that you have, no matter how many they are, all of them that you have, you should keep only in the total. So they total up all your credit cards. That's your bottom line. So if you got $1,000, and we'll just say 1,000. So if you have $1,000 in credit limit, you should only spend 30% of that. Don't max it out. And then pay it off, okay? That shows good credit history and good payment. But that's 30%. So some people use their credit cards to live off of, and then they like 69% utilization, and they killing their credit score. Killing it. But if you bring it under 30, you'll see that you probably gain like 30 points just by bringing your credit card under 30, okay? The length of credit, yes, sir.
So what if you, say for instance, you spend more than, you said 30% a month, but then you turn around and you pay that 30% back off.
Long as it's within that payment cycle.
Okay.
As long as it's in that window, you're fine. Because then it's not being reported.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Length of credit is 15%. That means how long you've had the account. So if you've had a mortgage for 10 years, that's showing that you have some lend. And then that tells lenders that, okay, they got good history with paying their bills. And so this is what we're willing to give. That's only 15% though. Your biggest portion is paying your bills on time and your credit cards. That's the biggest portion of your credit score. Then your new credit, and then the types of credits that you use. So anybody so that's like installments versus revolving. So that's 10%. When it comes to your new credit, I was telling somebody yesterday, don't be letting people pull hard inquiries on you. Make them do soft if you're trying to figure out if you qualify for something. If they tell you they can't do a soft pull, then you don't do business with them.
What do you mean?
So, because when they do a hard inquiry, so they trying to see if you qualify, every hard inquiry goes against you and it hits your credit score. At least gonna get you for 15 points. Every one. So if you went to get a car, they gonna try 20 different finance companies to see if they can get you approved, and each one of them is hitting your credit. That's 15 points a piece.
But you don't wanna mess with their, you don't wanna mess with them. You need to go to the credit union or the bank.
But some people don't have credit unions. I agree. If you got a bank that'll loan you money, especially a credit union, yes, I agree. But most people don't have it, or either they can't get approved through their bank because they don't have the credit score. But you want them to do soft pulls. You don't want them to do hard pulls. Yes, sir.
So what exactly is a soft pool?
That means that they just basically they're not running it against your credit, but they're still able to pull up to see exactly where you are in regards to your credit score. They're not running it against your credit all the way. They can pull that information up. They tell you that they can't, they a lie because they can't. That's why you probably got them. You pre-qualify for those pre-qualification letters. I get them all the time. I don't know about those.
That's a
people.
soft pull.
That's a soft.
So they verified your name,
Right.
your address,
your
approximately how much you
make.
make, and what you have. So that's a soft pull. They can pull that, but then it doesn't go into detail where you have this credit card, this
Right.
mortgage, this student loan. It doesn't go into that much detail. It just kind of gives them a
Overall
high level
picture.
view of
Right.
what it looks like.
Right. All right. I'm running out of time because the next person's supposed to come up. The Fair Credit Reporting. So in regards to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can dispute anything on your credit, even if you feel like, even if you know it's yours, you can still dispute it. You can dispute anything. You have that right to say, nope, prove it's me. Prove it's me. Now, a lot of these places, if you have something that goes into collections, I learned this. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. If you have something that went collections, they sell them to these other companies, so they buy them in bulks. You didn't go into contract with them. So they have to validate the debt. Validate it. Show me where I signed the paper with you. Because I didn't go into business with you. I went into business with this company. I didn't go into business with you. Now, if you smart enough, they'll be like, oh, they know. Okay. All right, fine. Because they buy for penny on, they buy for little or nothing. Yes, and then I got you, Tim.
Because the hospital bills and stuff like that, where the third party call you to verify, see if you that person, so you can pay that bill. Is that what you, something similar to that?
Yep. And when it comes to your medical, they ain't supposed to sell your medical stuff because that's HIPAA. Didn't know that, did you?
Say that again?
That's against the HIPAA laws to sell your medical information to somebody
It
else.
is?
Yes, it is. That's
I
against the
didn't know that
HIPAA.
because I get calls every week.
That's HIPAA. They're against the HIPAA laws.
So let me get this straight.
All right, let's go.
You buy your
Dead.
Dead.
debt, okay, and you don't have a contract with them, and you call them out on that. So,
All you gotta do is tell them validate the debt.
and what if they can't validate it? They just drop
They
it.
have to get rid of it.
For real?
That's exactly what they have to
That's what
do.
you
That
said.
credit score finna jump up now.
So that's what you have to do. You have to tell them, validate the debt.
Yeah.
That's what you want them to do. Validate the debt. Tell me that this debt is really the debt that I owe you. Because I don't owe Jefferson and whoever, Jefferson and Inc. I didn't go into business. I don't even know who you are. Where are you? I don't know you. So I didn't go into business with you. Validate the debt. That's what you have to tell them. And if they can't validate the debt, they have to get rid of the debt off your credit report.
So what if they do validate the debt? I have to go, then what?
You gotta pay it.
Yeah. But
But I
again,
don't have a contract.
you don't have no
them.
contract with them.
Yeah,
They ask them to show you the contract that you signed with them.
okay. And if I don't, I think they show me, what if I don't want to sign? It's like, okay.
Well, you ain't got no contract
I
with
got
them.
it. Yeah, I ain't got no contract, yeah, got it. All right.
But don't
They have
don't a lot of institutions send you forms that say if you don't want to have your information passed here and there, you can call this number, and they want
Opt out.
hop out. Yeah.
And not sell your information.
Right.
Is that just selling your information or is that selling the debt?
It's usually your information.
Information.
Right. So your information is just your name and all that other stuff, not necessarily
Don't have
the
nothing to
debt.
do with it.
No.
I got a question.
Yes.
On selling your debt. Mortgage company. I've had mortgage company where the previous company sent me a letter saying that they sold this mortgage off to another company. Is that?
In an instance such as that, like when they change hands when it comes to your mortgage, they do notify you. When it comes to like collection agencies are different than another mortgage company, another mortgage lender.
You still got to pay that.
Yeah, you still got to pay that. It was a good try, but collection agencies are different than your mortgage lenders.
Hey, I'm with you. I was gonna try to see what I
I didn't sign no papers with you.
I mean, the reason I ask, cause my mortgage been sold off 4 different times since I.
Student loans are like that too. They just keep selling them to other people, but they're different than debt collectors. Yeah, they're different than debt collectors. Because even when it comes to debt collectors, like I talked to one lady one time, and I was like, okay, so if I pay you this, how long is it gonna take you to take it off my credit? Well, then you would have to call the original person. I said, so I'm not gonna pay you. If I gotta call Capital One to get them to take it off, why am I gonna pay you?
Exactly.
I'm not doing that. I'll pay Capital One and then have to go. I'll just go back to the person and then we'll deal with them. I'm not gonna deal with you.
Right.
And she said, well, this is gonna be your final time. I said, well, it'll be the final time. You do what you gotta do, because what I'm not going to do is pay you and then you tell me I gotta reach out to Capital One anyway. Absolutely not. We're not gonna do that at all. They can't harass y'all either.
They can't.
No, they cannot harass you. You tell them stop calling your phone. Don't you call here no more.
What they tell you on the phone, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. But they tell you on that situation, they say, we're going to say, press the button so you won't call them no more. Or I talked to them personally, and they said, oh, we're going to take your number off the list. All of a sudden, 30 days later, they're doing it again.
And then you tell them again, do you see it in my notes? Okay, you call my house again, I'm going to contact my lawyer because y'all are harassing me.
Yeah, they'll stop there.
They cannot harass you. All right, so this last thing, and then I'm turning it over. So these are positive trade lines. These are things that's going to increase your credit score. That, of course, is credit cards. Keeping them under what? How much? What
30%.
percentage? 30%. Keeping it like 25. That way you save, all right? Give you cushion, right, Mr. Ron?
Right, you got it.
Your car note. If you got one of them agencies, them buy here, pay here lots, everybody, good people have bad times, and I get it. If you got, make sure that they report it to the credit agencies, because you paying them $10,000 and they not paying, reporting it to a credit agency. That ain't helping you. Okay, make sure they report it to a credit agency. Installment loan, your mortgage, your rental history sometimes can be on there as well. And then becoming an authorized user. Okay, so this is for the authorized user. Find somebody that has real good credit, like Goldie. Somebody got real good credit. And be like, you go to them, you be like, listen, just put me on as an authorized user. I don't need a card. I just need you to put me on as an authorized user. What happens is, whatever her credit limit is now becomes also a part of your credit limit. Every time she pays her bill on time, it now reflects good on you because it looks like that you're paying your bill on time, which helps you increase your credit score. That's an authorized user. So that's just you getting on somebody else's credit card and just allowing their good credit to help you boost yours. So people that have teenagers, just put them there. Put them on your credit card, and by the time they get out of school, they got good credit because it shows that they have credit.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So, does that work backwards though? If you
Yes, if they start falling off,
right?
yes.
Or what if you?
That's why you find somebody that you know will pay their
Right.
bills. That you know, that without a shadow of a doubt, you know that they're gonna pay it. Don't get somebody that's like on the fence, like we might be. No, find somebody that you know that's like really a stickler about their bills. They're the ones that you ask. All right. So set up auto pay. I don't like auto pay because I just want to be able to control my own money. I got the control issues. Okay, so I don't do auto pay. No, don't just come taking money out of my account. No, don't do that. Let me give it to you when I'm ready to give it to you. But auto pay helps those people that don't know how to pay their bills on time All right, so if you have that struggle, then do that. If you can, ask for credit limit increases. Just don't use the increase. Okay? If you ask for it, don't use it. Don't be like, oh, I got more money. No, you don't. You don't have more money. They just increased it. If you need to get with somebody that's a professional, do that. Monitor your reports as frequently as possible. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. Since we've been in a pandemic, they kind of let you pull it like twice a year, but usually it's just once a year you can get a free credit report. But you can't get a free credit report to see where you are. All right? And that is annualcreditreport.com. And if you know that you're gonna make a payment late, call them, see what they can do. Can they put the payment at the end of your policy or whatever you're doing? Figure it out so it don't hurt you.
Don't call the day before it's due.
No, don't do that either.
You knew
you knew it was gonna be like 10 days ago. All right. Question. I ain't gonna ask if there are any questions.
I always knew when my lights were shut off. That's when I
That's
needed
when
to
you
call.
always cold in the
That's
house.
when I need to call. That's terrible.
All right, so this is going to be our last half. Saving on a budget is going to be our last piece. I'm giving it to Goldie.
Hello, Sister Goldsmith.
We're going to talk about saving on a budget. It is possible. That's where everybody starts, is on a budget with very little money. So you need to learn.
Okay, how you work this on the side? On the other side.
Yep, right. Yep.
There you go.
Okay, saving on a budget. Set realistic goals. If you have not saved and do not save, when you set your goal, it is not going to be $10,000. That's not going to be your goal. Realistic goals. So if you haven't saved, say, okay, this year I'm going to save $500. That's a realistic goal. And then you build on it from there. So, or you say, I'm going to save for a vacation. Most people, when they start saving, they save to go somewhere, or they save to buy a particular thing, like some red bottoms. So, you save. So take a picture of it, put it on the refrigerator so you know that you're saving for something, but set a realistic goal when you're saving. Set up automatic deposit into a savings account. Coming right out of your check, going into a savings account. And then it says make it hard to access. You have to make your savings account hard to access. So your goal needs to be realistic. You need to set up an automatic deposit, and you need to make it hard to access. And what I mean by that is, don't have it tied to your debit card. Don't have it tied to your checking account. If at all possible, put it in a whole nother bank across town that you don't even go that way. Like go up north and open up a savings account at a credit union somewhere, and then have your company, wherever you work, take $20 out of every pay period, or $10, but start somewhere and put it in that account, because you know you're not going to drive way out there to go get $50 or whatever it is. But make it, when I say make it realistic, if you have to tap into it on a regular basis, what you're trying to save, that means you're trying to save too much. So, then you got to put in the work. Old school banking is the best. I'm talking check register. Get one, write it all down. You have to do it. You be quiet.
Or marry
I have
somebody
to
that
do
knows
it.
how to do it.
Know
That's
somebody
mine.
that does it. Write it down. Discipline. So you have to track it, saving and spending. You have to track it all. And you have to be disciplined in doing it. Pay yourself. So reward yourself. You need to pay yourself. You go to work every day, you work hard, you do all of that. So you find a thing that you like that's not a lot of money, and pay yourself. I had a long time ago, my cousin, she's always worked for Social Security Department. So when she was first starting out, she didn't make a whole lot of money. So her thing was every payday she liked fingernail polish. So she would buy her a bottle of fingernail polish. That was her reward out of her check. So you find a little thing. My thing, I like happy hour. I like to go and eat bougie for half price. That is my thing. I like to eat, and I like to go to good places to eat. So I go to happy hour because I can go and it's half price. So I do that once a month. Sometimes in the summertime, I do every payday. Friday, I'm going to happy hour. That's my reward to myself. Credit cards versus debit cards. I personally use my credit card for everything. Versus my debit card, because I can't, if my card gets hacked, you can't play with my money for real. Like, not my real money. You can hack my credit card, because Capital One is going to call and be like, this don't look like you, so we're going to shut this off and send you a new one. Okay, and we're going to remove these charges. Okay, great. But if you hack my debit card, and you have spent $500, and then I got stuff that is getting ready to bounce, I'm having a panic attack. So, I use my my credit card versus using my debit card. Now, with that said, when I use my credit card, I go back to my old school banking. I write everything in my check register as if I was using it like a debit card. So I treat my credit card like a debit card because I subtract it out of my balance and I pay it off every payday. So I only spend what I have left. I don't overspend or any of that. What it looks like. This is a simple budget. Some people are like, well, I don't make that much money, blah, blah, blah. So this budget right here is based off of making $20 an hour. Okay? So monthly expenses. So we say your mortgage, your rent is $800, your electric is $120. Your gas is $150, and that's gas for your place where you live. Your cell phone bill is $80. Groceries, you spend about $300 a month. You got a $400 car payment. Your car insurance is $200. Gas for the car, well, it was like $120. It was $120 a month.
400.
Your water bill is like $60. You pay about $70 for internet. I threw in personal care, so if you go to the barber shop, you go see Tim, whatever, you spend about $50.
Come see me. No money.
And then your miscellaneous stuff. So your miscellaneous is like, so-and-so at work's having a birthday, everybody's chipping in $5, or we're gonna do this or that. So you got $50 there. So for the whole month, you're spending $2,400, okay? You're bringing home, and this is after taxes, making $40,000 a year. You bring home $2,700 a month. So after you pay all your bills, you got $300 left, okay? So go back a little bit, because we talked about tithing and all of that. So when I first started out on my own, making not this, and gonna tithe. When it talks in the Bible about pay Caesar his due, that's how I tithe. So I would do my budget, and I got $300 left. That's what I tithed off of. Because that's where I was in my faith, my walk, and my finances. I didn't see where I'm not getting ready to give you $270, sir. I got $2,400 worth of bills. What we talking about? So I would tithe $30.
So you would tithe what's left after
What's left after my bills, because I'm going to pay Caesar his due. Because Caesar is all them people over here.
Right.
So I would pay all of that. And then what was left was $300. And that's where I tithe then.
Yeah.
Because that's where my faith was. And so I really believe that your tithing and your faith coincide. So when your faith grows, your tithing grows. So then, as my faith grew, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to tithe off the net. So I'm going to tithe off the $2,700. Because that's what I'm bringing home. So I'm gonna tithe off that. So later on in life, I start tithing the $270. Then I'm like, okay, my faith grew because I don't miss it because the math don't add up. It don't make sense. It don't do none of that.
Right.
And I can't help you with God's math.
Right.
It is what it is. So then I started tithing off the gross. So that's where I am now. And that's what I tithe off of. And I don't miss it. And everything still flows, thing still works. My credit score is still really good. And I'm like, okay, we can do this. So then you pay your tithes. And then out of your paycheck, you save $30 a month. So every paycheck, so you get paid twice a month, you put $15 in savings. So if you take that $30 times 12, that gives you what? $360 that you saved in a year.
You didn't miss it.
And didn't miss it. Now, let's go back to credit cards. And putting in the work. Old school banking. So this is what I do. Not him, because he said it's too much.
She does it for me.
I do it for him. So, what I do, I know my bills are $2,400 a month. Okay? So, half of that is $1,200. So, I'm bringing in the $2,700. So, what I do is I go back to my check register, because I have one. They still give them out at the bank if you ask them for it. They will give it to you. And they look at you weird, but they'll give it to you. I go and be like, I need a new check register. Can you just give me 2? Because I write everything down. So, and I need to put it in an Excel spreadsheet. It would be easier, but I'm too lazy for that. I just like my check register because I like to touch it. So, I write down when my deposit comes in. I've got my, where am I at? So my monthly income is $2,700. So what's half of that?
$1,350.
$1,350. So I write down $1,350. Okay. So we starting out at the beginning.
Get paid
first
every
payday.
2 weeks, right?
You get paid every 2
So-
weeks. So you write down $1,350.
What's wrong with credit card versus, what did you say that was? Debit card
Credit versus debit.
cash.
You can do cash. I don't ever carry cash. I mean, some people do. I don't. And that's easier for some people. Like, I know my mother-in-law, she always did cash, and she had little envelopes. So, for groceries and her tithes and all of that, she put all her little money in the envelopes, and whatever she needed, she'd go to envelopes and get it, because she was all about, I'm not doing all that.
We found them in a bunch of books after she
Like money
passed.
in books and
Dad
stuff.
found
She
them, and
just-
it's like
Yeah,
tithes
and
or
you
taxes
can
due at the end of the
but
year.
It's just
$400.
easier for me to do this, and I have all my receipts in my purse, and then I sit down on Friday night or Saturday night, and I write everything down for the week.
Well, if
I
I
keep
do
it
a little
written
bit
down.
of cash, then I don't have to worry about that credit card.
That's right. That's right.
Think about that.
So anyway, what I do, I should have put a check register up there. So I write down my $1,350, and then my bills are, half of that is $1,200. So that's not right. But anyway, so then you write down. So in my check register, I write my deposit down, and then I write half of bills, and I write that amount, and I subtract it. Whatever's left. Now, in my bills and in my budget, my tithes is over there. My tithes would be on this side. So I budget in my tithes. Okay? So tithes, rent, gas, blah, 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 the whole deal, and divide it in half. And I write in my check register half of bills. So I write that amount down. Then I physically write out my tithes check. It's already there. I write it out. So now I've got $240 left to spend. That's my running money. I pay my tithes, I got half my bills already in there that I'm not gonna touch. So my credit card that I use for everything, I write everything down in that check register. I went got my nails done, it's $50 or $40. I went and had happy hour, I spent $35, whatever. So that's where I am. At the end of that pay period, so my next check is gonna hit in 2 weeks. So say for instance, out of that $240, I spent $140. I got $100 left that I didn't spend. I send Capital One, they're $140. Electronic payment, it's gone. I don't have to add it up because it's already subtracted out. I know how much I got left. That $100 that's left, I now move into a savings account. That's how I grow my savings. Now, if I spend it all but $40, I move that $40 into my savings account. So I already had my savings $15 this pay period, then another $40. So now for one pay period, I've saved $55 in 2 weeks. So then the next payday, I always take my check register to zero. I always take it back to zero, and I start all over again. I write down the same amount because I just pay the same amount every 2 weeks. And then you write it down and you do that. So I don't spend more on my credit card than is in my check register. Never, unless it's in an emergency. I mean, it has to be like something that I don't have in savings. So I can't pull it out of there, so I'm put it on a credit card, and now, so that means next pay period, no happy hour, no nails, no hair, no nothing, because I'm trying to get this credit card paid off, because I had to dip into it, you know, a little bit more. So that's where we are on that. But that's what it looks like. But it's work, and it's discipline. You have to set a realistic goal of what you're gonna save. And it may not be a lot, but even with that, your tithes may not be a big amount. But be consistent. Because the Lord loves a cheerful giver. If you're stressing out about that $270, don't give it. Because you're cursing the money at that point. You didn't give it in the right spirit. It ain't going to go out in the right spirit. And it's just not good. So I'd rather you give, don't tell Pastor I said this. I'd rather you be happy and get a $30 than to be mad and get a $270. So, I mean, that's what it is. You have to start somewhere. And even now, I still have my automatic deposit set up, and it still takes out that amount every pay period, and it puts it in the savings account. So, and then for our house, what works, because some of us are not
Financially inclined.
disciplined. Some of us are not disciplined in our spending. You know, we see it, we go get it. We don't wait for it to go on sale. We won't ask if it's going on sale. We won't look for a coupon.
My
That's-
money and I need it
that's
now.
You got a checking and savings account. How do I take that savings account away from that account? Just open up another account? Okay.
And for some, so I'm going to tell you how it works in our house. So in our house, we have 4 accounts.
Okay.
We have a house account. And that's how we know out of my check, I need to put this much in because this is how much we need to run the house. He knows how much he has to put in, so this is what goes in so we can run the house. Okay? So out of his check, and the portion that he has to put in, there's X amount left, and we budget in spending. So he needs X amount every 2 weeks because he eats lunch out, he won't take his lunch, he needs gas money, he gotta get a haircut, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we need all
That's right.
that.
Meats
So
is
then-
expensive.
So then that money goes into his account. I don't mess with that account. I don't balance that account. I don't touch that account. I don't care about that
Her
account.
name's on it in case I die. She can
In
get
case he died, I can take out the 50 cent he left.
Right. I was gonna say, I run it down to nothing every week. I ain't lying.
He's spending it all. He's spending it till the car don't work no more.
It's like, oh.
For real, for real. So he has
I
that
ain't lying.
account. Now he has a savings account attached to that. Okay, but it's there.
Again, I'm not disciplined, so I might dip in
Then the
and
house
transfer a
account
little money.
also has a savings account. So built into this budget is the house savings. Now that money goes in. So what I say we need to run the house also includes savings. Okay. So
I
then
didn't know
there's an automatic amount that transfers on the 25th of the month into savings. I don't worry about it. It's an automatic thing. It's already budgeted in, whatever. So that amount automatically goes into savings. If there's anything that's left, I take it back to zero and it goes into savings. Then I have my account. So after I put in what I'm supposed to run the house, then mine is even at a totally different bank. So is his. So the house account is at one bank. He has his bank. I have my bank. And I have a savings. So when I say I use my debit card, I use my credit card, that's what I do. And I subtract. So I keep 2 sets of books, y'all. I'm really putting in the work.
You could work for the mob. That's some of that.
So I really do 2 sets of books because I have to do the house books and then I do my books. I don't worry about what
I
you
don't do
over
my
there with that account. I don't because I can't. So I know, what I have to work with. So I do that and I use everything on my credit card. I write it all down in my check register and I subtract it out. So then at the end of the 2-week period, whatever I have left, I move into a savings account. My check at work is set up. I know what I need to put in here, but I also know what I need to save, so that's automatically deposited into my savings account.
Yours, not the house.
Not the house. The house got its own. For my budget, for my red bottoms, they coming, y'all. They coming. So it goes in there.
You
So
red bottom.
I can look at it. Now mine is attached to my checking account, but not my debit card. So I can go online and transfer money, but I can't go to the ATM and swipe it and then give me money.
Okay.
I can't even deposit money into my savings. I physically have to go into the bank if I want to go in and put cash in. So it's not tied to my debit card at all. So I physically have to go there, and I would physically have to go there to take it out unless I move it into my checking account. But then I don't like going to the bank. Like I don't like when people give me checks. Even though you can take a picture with it on your phone, I don't know, it's something about it. So that's a whole nother, I need help. But, does anybody have questions on saving? Yes,
How's our savings account looking on the house account?
we have $2.
I may need, that's always $2. Always. Shoot. See? That's what y'all got.
I have told him that since we've been
Forever.
married. We got $2.
What's left on the card? I need lunch. $2.
We got $2. So, you should have took some lunch. We got $2. Just me, $2.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, and then when you do your budget and all of that, so like miscellaneous, build in some miscellaneous, build in some cushion. That could be your movie night, your date night, your happy hour, whatever. But build that in so you're just not working and not doing anything fun. I mean, it doesn't have to
Nobody
be,
can do that for
you
very
can't
long.
do that
I mean,
for
it's
very
just,
long, because then you get frustrated and all of that, and then you quit saving altogether. So pick a realistic amount and just do it. Yes, sir.
Well, one thing you didn't mention, but it's something we do. As our credit scores have improved, we're able to get credit cards now that give you points or air travel and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I like Bass Pro and Shields and guns and stuff. So I've got a Shields card that I literally do everything on, and I've had it for 6 months, and I've earned almost $300 in points that I can use at Shields or Bass Pro. Hers just puts money back in the account, or you, like I said, you can use
Yeah.
that.
So like
You
on
can
my
use that to
Cover
your
One, I get
advantage.
like 1.5% back or
It-
cash back or whatever. So
And
I
if
usually
you're
just let it sit,
using
build
it
up,
for a
and
lot,
then
and like I
move it
say,
over
some
and make
people
a
don't want to
payment
do
with it.
that because you've got to be disciplined to pay it off every year
Yeah.
or every
But
month.
with that, on the cash back, so that's a good thing. And another reason why I use my credit card all the time is because I get 1.5% cash back. So then I let it build up. So then when it gets to a certain spot, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna just go ahead and let that cash back make my payment. And then what I have left, I just move it into savings. So then I have spent, but I've been paying it off. So then I've got $150, so I can go shopping and then move that in. Yeah, so it works.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
I work
that your
consistent.
money or our?
No.
I'm playing with you. It's all her money, by the way. I just,
It's my money. So yeah. So you learn to work your credit card and work what works best for you and traveling and all that. So and
That
it's
has
safe
broke
for
up,
vacation.
sorry, that has broke up a many homes when this person is doing this thing all by themselves and that person is doing something all by themselves. They don't put anything together, anything
Right.
together. So that's a
yeah, our names are on everybody's accounts. I mean, even on her account,
Yeah, he's on there.
I don't get them,
Transfer
but
all
yeah,
that.
it's all one money.
I found out before then. Quickly, I was going to, I went to the filling station, put my card in there, and they didn't accept it. That was the first time that it ever happened, Phillips 66. But in the meantime, I said I had a debt, and that was my husband. So I went on in, luckily I had enough cash and went on in, and I immediately got home, forgot everything else and went home and asked him, what's the matter with my card? Why did you reject it? Because your husband passed. I said, what's that got to do with it? I'm the one who's been paying the bills all along.
They don't care.
So they said, you had a courtesy card. Courtesy? I'm not a
Yeah.
courtesy.
So you
Right.
were an authorized user.
You're an, yeah.
Authorized user,
Ah.
that's all I was.
Yeah.
So I
Not
took
the
care of
primary.
that. Oh, no, I don't like that.
Yeah. So and that's the other thing. So the authorized user, that works. So
Yeah, because she's got me as
I'ma
an authorized
tell-
user on.
look, because
I don't like
I'm a
authorized
stickler about my bills and paying my stuff on time.
Yeah, me too.
Because I need my credit score to be a certain thing, because I need my insurance to be cheaper, I need my interest rates to be cheaper, I need to live like people that got money. Okay?
Exactly.
So, when I did decide, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get a credit card, blah, 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 they give you $5,000 limit, whatever, all of this. So then I called and put him on as an authorized user, because his was. So they did, and he started getting stuff. He's like, "Hey, my credit score is going up." I'm like, "Yeah, because I pay my bills."
I didn't know.
So then, because I don't use the 30%, because by the time they report, I'm carrying zero balance, all that, and it's already paid off. So then it goes up, and so then 6 months or a year later, whatever, they send you a thing in the mail, and it's like, oh, now your credit limit's increased. I didn't ask y'all for an increase, because they'll just do it.
Right.
Because they know your payment history and how you pay. So they will, the credit card companies, because they all about making some money. So they'll keep increasing you, hoping you spend more and get to the point that you can't pay it, so they get interest. So know that. So I got a thing in the mail. Oh no. So U.S. Bank, who we bank with for the house. So we never had a credit card for at the bank where the house account is. So they sent this thing and they're like, oh, you can get all this cash back and da-da-da, we're gonna give you $250. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I did, and I'm like, it'd be easy because, if we use it for did that. So I did a little thing online, and they're like, okay, that's like a $20,000 credit limit. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, who's using that?
We got-
So I called them. So I called them, and I'm like,
This is on tape.
I do not want
Really?
that much of a credit limit. I need y'all to lower this. And they did. And they were like, but it's there in case you ever need it. So if something catastrophic happens and the roof caved in or whatever, something blew up and I needed it, then I could call and be like, okay, I'm gonna need y'all to lower that because I need to put a roof on the house or buy whatever. But hopefully nothing happens that needs $20,000 like
No, that's
all
right.
right there. But, you know, so, and then, like your savings, as you save, and you set your realistic goals, and you see it increasing, it's like, oh, okay. And it increases some more. Okay. Your tithing increases. You still got money left to do stuff. You'll set bigger goals for your savings account. It's like, oh, okay, well, we got this much, and okay, well, now let's work towards $5,000. And then you work towards whatever. So they always tell you to have, 6 months of emergency money so you can pay that $2,400 for 6 months. So that's kind of where you work towards, but that is going to take years to work towards. So realistically, you start off $15, $20 automatically coming out, going into a savings account, into a bank that you have to go far, far, far away to get to, and let it sit. Fly, fly, fly away. So, any questions? Did anybody get anything out of this?
Both of them.
Good.
Okay. So, there we are. No questions?
Good job, ladies.
Thank you, Pastor and Sister Francis.
All right, yes, I hope everybody did get something out of it, and that y'all got some information that you might not have knew, that can kind of help. And when it goes back to the savings, just start somewhere.
That's right.
Just start somewhere. Even when it comes to tithing, start somewhere. Just be consistent. Because look, in God's hand, little can become much.
Yes.
That's right.
And as she said, don't give $270 begrudgingly and mad and angry, because now you're cursing everybody's money that's in there. And so, no, we don't want that. So definitely just start somewhere, wherever that is.
I got one question. Okay, as a barber, I'll save, but I won't put it in the bank because I'm not going to the bank every day because I deal with cash. So I'll put it somewhere, and then of course it stacks up. But if I put it in the bank, is that going to help my credit or whatnot as far as do they check your bank account and all that?
Say some of
So it doesn't help your credit, but it helps. So like say for instance, if you were going to buy a house,
Very important for that.
they look at your bank statements. So if they see you're depositing money regularly and that what you're doing with your money, then it helps that way. So it establishes banking history.
And then also some savings accounts, or most of them, give you some type of interest. So you still gain money by them being able to use your money. Because we know that when you got money in the bank, they using your money.
Right.
So they kind of paying you to, because you're just leaving it there, so they pay you to use it. So you still, even if it's like 1%, that's 1% more than what you put in there.
And with that, putting your money in the bank, which is how the bank does the soft pull, and you've been pre-approved, blah, 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 and they'll send you offers for a credit card or whatever and whatnot. So then that helps that way too. So they know that you have money there, and they'll send you credit card offers and whatever, so you can start that way too.
It's funny that it takes credit to have good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have all kinds of money in the bank, and
you
if
don't
you
have no
didn't
credit,
use credit and
yes.
have,
You
you've
just
got
like
a
have bad
$5,000
credit, like having no
limit, but
credit.
you only spend $100.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Or you may be at $4,900 of that, and you still got it, and another guy over there just deals in cash, He may be
Somebody that
better
just
off,
deal-
but unfortunately, that's not how the
So
system's
as
set up.
Mother said, what if you have cash? So when you're trying to build your credit,
Yeah.
using cash is not a good
Right.
idea. Paying for everything in cash is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because if it shows up that you have no debt, your credit score can still be like 400. Because you don't
That's
have
right.
any kind of payment history, you don't have no revolving loans or installment payments, you don't have any credit. So they looking at you like, we know. Even if you had $10,000 and you got $10,000 you go put on the car, put 8 and then have them finance 2. Something like that. But you still have to have something in order to build your credit. So if you're trying to strengthen your credit, don't buy everything in cash. Because it ain't gonna help you. It's gonna hurt you in that aspect.
No matter how old you are.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. No matter how old you are.
And then put your spouse on your stuff.
Yes, because anything can happen. Going back to your power
Your-
of attorneys and
Yeah.
you
And
need
like
to-
your gas card and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I own all the stuff.
Is it true, is,
Right.
credit card, credit unions better, give you better rates than?
Yes.
And they're usually
Yes.
easier to get.
Credit
loans
unions do
through.
give you better interest rates. They are easier to get loans through. Yes. They're not like your regular banks, like your Bank of Americas and all of those that have these higher expectations or standards requirements in order to get them. So yeah, credit unions are better.
Also, is it, when you're going to apply for, I think somebody said a car or whatever, is it best to go through whoever you're dealing with? Is
Your
it
credit,
bank or
yes, because your money already there.
Right.
They know where to come get it. They know where to
And not
come
only
get it.
that, but when you go to, so like when Ron bought my car, he went to the credit union and was like, okay, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm spending. So he already knew how much money he had to spend.
Yep.
So when he went to the dealership, it was like, well, I'm paying this, so you come down to this, because this is all I'm going to give you.
Yep.
So
And that
and
makes
it
it a
gives
lot
you more
easier.
negotiating
Yes,
power.
And
that
I-
makes a lot. It gives you all kinds of power.
And I
Yeah.
still ended up financing through the car dealership because they wanted that little, they lowered the interest rate a little bit for, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yep.
It's
Excuse me, I gotta get home.
Gotta
but
get-
she just got her cancer treatment at 7 o'clock, so she got,
All right,
got
Dee.
through getting her cancer, and I'll make sure I get home, so she'll be all right.
Yep. All right.
Good one.
Be safe.
Yep.
Don't buy no wood nickel. All right. Any other questions? I know. I know I am. I ain't never told nobody I was. All right. This is good. I'm glad I. Yes.
This was really
I
good.
said that was excellent. Yeah. I sure didn't know that about.
I don't know why they don't teach kids this in high school. This is so valuable. And like you said, I was so excited the first time I got a credit card. I think it was at J.C. Penney's, and I
Mine
bought
was at Deb's clothing store.
and I bought a VCR. I had a $500 limit, and I spent $350 on a VCR back then. Yeah. Well, after
$99 for a
Pay-
VCR.
oh no.
When they first came out, they was high.
This was in like
Oh, they first came
1982.
out, when they first
came
Yeah,
out, they was
the
high.
thing was that big,
Yeah.
and I don't.
My granddaughter is taking financial class in the 10th grade.
Oh, that's
They
good.
do, but they don't teach it like this.
They don't, it's
Oh,
all together.
boy, they need to.
Yeah, they don't teach this.
Student loans is a big deal. I mean, my gosh, it's all of that stuff, and they don't teach you about.
A lot of them wouldn't be taking out those student loans.
Yeah.
And you know.
But you know, you could talk to your kids, but when they get to a certain age, like you just,
Yeah.
But
that's not what I told you.
But it ain't like they don't have the information.
Yeah, they got the
Right, right.
information. They just,
I used to say all the time when it came to my adult children that I have now, be like, I used to tell my ex-husband, we gonna put the foundation down. Now if they take 2 sticks and a sheet and build a house, that's their business. But we gave them a foundation.
Yeah,
That's
right.
still what they gonna build on top of.
Absolutely.
You can't say you don't have it, because I gave it to you. All right, well, if there's nothing else. Everybody here partners? Anybody need prayer?
you done gave us all that.
Amen.
Amen.
Our announcements, do we have any?